fun talking today. I think the yearly theme at the Centers for Spiritual Living might be living everyday wonder. I think that would be it, which, I love because I talk about living enlightened every day. And there's an emphasis on the every day, because what's the point if it's not every day? I'm just saying, there's to know spirit, to know God, to know love, to know joy and peace and wonder only in special moments isn't enough. It's just not enough. I want to know God in the laundry, cleaning the dishes. Sorry to be graphic, picking up the dog poop. I mean, it's just God everywhere all the time, right? Are you with me? Who's interested in that? Yeah, not just in some special moments when I decide to sit and meditate. So I'm just really into that everyday wonder. And then we live in that life that is worth living every day, every moment. And I think this month is the inner life. So we're kind of going back to the beginning, back into the presence and the power. What is behind? What is in back of everything? And then today, the top title was, "Can I See God in Me?" And it was so interesting. I really kind of fought with that top title. It's just not me. But I couldn't figure out what it is I wanted to say, so I just started going with it, and we'll see where it goes. But can I see God, and where is God? These are crucial questions in our exploration of who we are and who we are really, and what God is. Aren't these those basic questions? And how we see God and where we see God. We're clothed with a body. We have a personality, but we are so much more than those finite things that we are. Our divine nature, that divinity, is the source of who and what we are. It is our power. It is our love, our ability to love. It is our joy. It is peace that passes understanding. And it is our nature. And this month, we're invited to remember that not only am I one with spirit, but that spirit is all that I am. When we get down to the essential nature of who and what we are, we can realize our thoughts come and go. That's not who we are. They don't stick to us and pile up on us, and then we have a billion thoughts. No, one comes, one goes. That's not the essence of who we are. We can look at our bodies and realize that I am not the same body I had when I was 4 or 14 or 40. The body changes, the cells change. It's very dynamic and fluid. I am not that. We take away everything that is not essential to our being. What are we left with? We are spirit. Spirit is us. We are divine beings who have come to play in our consciousness, to remember who we truly are and to remember our central being. I think it was Socrates who said, an examined life is a life worth living, and which means a non-examined life is a life not worth living. And what does that mean? It's to find out who we are. And the person who contributed to this week's talk wrote that we've come here to work at our consciousness. And notice I use the word play. There is some work involved. I get that. For many of us, we experience that. But my personal belief is when we do the work, then we play. It's almost like we tell our kids at school, finish your homework and then go out and play. Do this little bit of work to align yourself with the truth of your being so that you can play. In order to play with the heart of a child, we may have to work at letting go of some of the things that are blocking our joy, but our joy is there already. And we may have to work at letting go of what is blocking our clarity, but our clarity is there. And we may have to spend some time working at unblocking our creativity, because we may have put some things in the way of being creative. And we may have to work at letting go of some conditioning or past information, so that we have a better ability to commune in our relationships with love and compassion. But that love and compassion is already there. We're just unblocking some things sometimes. We do a little bit of homework so we can go play. And for this journey, we've dressed in this unique body, this unique personality, so that we can function on this plane and fulfill our purpose, whatever that is, as simple or complex as that is. We have these unique gifts, and it may be as simple as being a parent or a teacher or a friend or a lover or a daughter or a son or a grandparent. But we use the body to find our gifts and to explore on this plane. And then we have this idea of transformation, including all that we are on this plane, but transcending that to include the divine and the divinity that we are, so that it flows through and into that. So it's including and transcending. We are not limited beings. We are not limited by our bodies, by our sex, by our age, our education, our relationships. Those all make up the personality, but those are never limiting. As I was saying, we can explore any blockages that we might have piled on top, and then we can release them. All that I am is included in this ultimate goal of self-realization, or my favorite word, living enlightened every day. All that I am, integrating spirit with mind and body. At the Centers for Spiritual Living, we know that there is one principle, one cosmic reality, one presence, the universe. We call it God. Everything in creation originates from this one source. There's only one. All that has ever been, all that will ever be, all that is right here, right now, is this one. And from this one infinite source comes the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, the physical universe. All life, all love, all order, all energy, all harmony, all being, all physical form, or what we call the world of effects, all creation. And all physical, mental, and spiritual principles and laws are contained in this one. Are you guys, I'm sure you are familiar with the yin yang symbol, the symbol that has the swirl of color with the dot of the opposite color, and the opposite swirl with the opposite color dot. And it represents duality. It represents otherness and differentness and opposites. But it also, we have to remember that all of this is contained within this circle of wholeness. A circle always represents infinite presence. There's never anything outside of this circle. There's only one. And in the one is contained seeming opposites, seeming problems, seeming challenges, all of these things. We know that there's many terms used to express that concept of divinity. Science may call it pure energy. I don't know what they would call it now in quantum physics, but some of you here would know. And for the philosophers, it's this infinite intelligence. And the theologies or the spiritual traditions of the world call it God or the Tao, Yahweh, Allah, Brahman, and they all have the same meaning of this one divine principle. Therefore, I say all of that to remind us that every single human being is a divine creation made from the one substance. Each of us is an individualized and unique personification of this infinite spirit. We embody, we are, we live spirit. And that is our true essence and the essence of each and every human being. This pure essence in Kabbalah, they call it our divine spark. It cannot be lost or damaged, diminished, or destroyed in our eternal journey. Our true nature can never be hurt, harmed, or endangered. Now, we have to acknowledge on our journeys that, the external form can be and will come into existence in birth and leave this world in death. Our mental and emotional bodies can be hurt. We can feel betrayed. We can feel lack or limitation. And that is sometimes the work that we do, is to remember the truth of our being behind that. We would say prior to that, in the beginning, wholeness, in the beginning, spirit, in the beginning, God. So when we know that, when we return to that sense of who and what we are, then we look at the broken or the separate or the lack, and we can heal that from within, from that sense of wholeness. We remember the truth of our being. And we may have experienced hurt or lack or limitation because we have attached to ideas or beliefs in things or relationships that are other than who and what we are. So we return to source, we return to self. And that spiritual path is always inviting us, I believe, to fully integrate spirit with mind and body, so that we're not just whole or peaceful or joyful or feeling the presence of God when we're still, when we're quiet, when we're meditating, when we're visioning, when we're oming, but we feel and sense that every day. Laundry, bills, that's a good one. IRS, that's coming up. How present can we be? I know some of us are experiencing COVID and illness and things. Find spirit in that. It's there. It's there. But it doesn't come from that thing or that situation or that relationship or any of those things. It's always there, closer to us than our breathing, nearer to us than our hands and feet. So we're integrating spirit with mind and body. And when we do this, we live from spirit, the divine wholeness. We're interconnected, right? Now we see our wholeness. We cannot help but see the wholeness in the situations, the wholeness in the relationships. We recognize, wow, this person, this event, this situation is exactly what I needed. Who knew? Exactly what I needed to be a greater expression of spirit. And I love this phrase. We sense and feel that our oneness is irrevocable and eternal. And therefore we feel ourselves as irrevocable, and eternal. And that is powerful. It is a powerful place to live from. When we live from spirit, we can, as we would, with a child, we look at the mind and the body that we are. We look at the situations and we embrace them. We're able to say, oh, look at you. Look at you, body. You're beautiful. You're amazing. You are the expression of God in this world. You're the expression of God in this situation. You are love. You are loving. And you are loved. So loved. We look in the mirror at the face of God. What a joyful gift every single day. We look in the mirror, and I love Louise Hay for this. She taught us to say, I love you. I love you. Because if we can't see love when we look in the mirror, if we can't say, I love you, how can we truly say that to another? If we cannot see God in ourselves, how do we see God in another? If we cannot see God living and breathing us, how do we see God in people that challenge us to see God? So that's the beginning. Seeing God within us, as us, breathing us, loving us. We are the expression of God in every situation. And then we can see God expressing in every situation, in every person. The people that we think are special or wonderful or amazing, it's because it's easy for us to see that spark of the divine in them, right? But we're only able to see it in anybody because it's alive in us. So it's like, oh, that person, that situation, that event, they're so beautiful, they're so wonderful, they're so peaceful. And it's like, because our wonder, our beauty, our peace is recognizing that, is sensing that, we're drawn to that. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful reminder. But we can take it back a step and remember, oh yeah, me too. Me too. This is in me too, breathing me, living me. And that's transformational. As long as we're on this path, we're integrating spirit, mind, and body. We are changing, right? There's no stagnant place where we get to where we're like, oh, I'm done. I'm here. I've arrived. Nope. I don't know why, but when we're in this body, we're never done. Maybe it's because this body is constantly changing, the emotions constantly changing, the thoughts constantly changing, the situations constantly changing. So change, grow, move with them from spirit, And we see wholeness, it's sort of retroactive. We can start to see wholeness in our past where we couldn't imagine wholeness existed. We start to see oneness in our past where we could never imagine unity would be. And we can feel a sense of forgiveness for who we were or who they were in situations that we couldn't imagine letting go and forgiving. Because forgiveness is actually a deep form of love. But we don't call it that because that may seem too hard. So we call it forgiveness, but it's self-love. It's loving ourselves enough to trust that there is a reason God, Spirit, put us into these situations, and I let go. I let God live in that situation. And that is transformation. We remember there's one life, one infinite being, and we all share it. All human beings are the expression of God. one. And we form a oneness with each and every human being, all life, all creation. Wholeness. Ernest Holmes said, we believe that spirit is embodied in everyone and that we are all embodiments of this one spirit. So when we see that first, we are, I mean, honestly, there's nothing else. So look in the mirror, love yourself. And this week we can affirm that the spirit that lives in me is God. Call it God, call it love, call it Brahman, call it Allah, call it what makes you happy and relatable. The spirit that lives in me is God. It is love, joy, peace, and beauty. I am love, joy, peace, and beauty. And how do we make this personal and practical? I love this part, you know, and sometimes I forget to talk about this because I talk too much, but how do we remind ourselves daily when we forget? And, you know, I'm a big fan. My son kind of makes fun of me because, you know, we all have the phones and the computers, but I'm a big sticky note fan. Get out the sticky notes. Put a sticky note on your doorway, and every time you walk through a door frame, have it right at eye level and just say, the spirit that lives in me is God. It is love, joy, peace, and beauty. And we remind ourselves throughout our day, every time we cross a threshold, every time we go to do the laundry, walk the dog, get the mail, the spirit that lives in me is God. I am love, joy, peace, and beauty.